I filed for divorce on a Monday morning in March. My attorney, Susan Chun, handed me the papers across her desk, and I signed my name on every flag line. "Are you sure about this, Nathan?" she asked. "Completely sure. Once we file these, there's no going back." "I don't want to go back. My wife has been having an affair for over a year. I'm done." Susan nodded. "Then we file today. She'll be served by tomorrow afternoon." I discovered the affair 3 weeks earlier. My wife Jessica's laptop had died, and she'd asked to use mine to check her email. She'd left herself logged in on my browser. When I went to check my own email later, her inbox popped up instead of mine. The messages with someone named Travis Chun were right there at the top. Hundreds of them. Plans to meet, declarations of love, explicit messages I couldn't unsee. I'd screenshot everything, sent it to myself, and started planning my exit. I owned a successful HVAC company that I'd built from scratch over 10 years. Jessica had quit her job as a paralegal 3 years into our marriage, claiming she wanted to focus on starting a family. We'd been trying for kids for 5 years with no success. Now I knew why she'd really quit. More free time for Travis. The next day at work, my phone rang at 2:47 p.m. "Jessica." "Nathan, what the hell did you do?" "I filed for divorce. You should have been served about 20 minutes ago." "You can't do this." "I already did. My attorney will be in touch with yours about asset division." "Asset division? You're taking everything from me." "I'm taking what's mine. The business I built, the house I bought before we married. You'll get what the law says you're entitled to from a marriage, but that's it. I gave you the best years of my life. You gave Travis the last year. Talk to your attorney, Jessica. Don't call me again." I hung up. Over the next 2 weeks, Jessica tried everything. She called me from different numbers. She showed up at my office. She sent me long emails about how we could work through this, how it was just a mistake, how she still loved me. I forwarded everything to Susan and didn't respond. Then, 3 weeks after I filed, I got a different kind of email. Subject line: "We need to talk. I'm pregnant." I opened it. "Nathan, I know you're angry, but I have news that changes everything. I'm pregnant. I found out yesterday. I'm about 8 weeks along. This is the baby we've been trying for. We can't get divorced now. Call me, please." "Jessica." I stare at the screen. Pregnant. After 5 years of trying, suddenly she was pregnant right after I filed for divorce. The timing was too convenient. I called Susan immediately. She says she's pregnant. Susan was quiet for a moment. That's a common tactic in divorce cases. Claim pregnancy to delay proceedings or gain leverage. What do I do? Ask for proof. Medical documentation. We have a right to verify the claim. And if she's telling the truth, then we deal with it. But Nathan, if she's 8 weeks pregnant and you've been sleeping in separate bedrooms for 2 months, you need to think about whether this child could even be yours. My stomach turned. She was right. Jessica and I hadn't been intimate since January. It was now late March. If she was 8 weeks pregnant, the conception date would have been late January or early February, when we were already sleeping in separate rooms. I sent a reply to her email. "If you're pregnant, I need medical documentation. Full records from your doctor, including conception date estimates. Send them to my attorney by end of week." Her response came within minutes. "I can't believe you're being so cold about this. This is our baby. I'll get you the records, but this changes everything. We need to stop the divorce." I didn't respond. 3 days later, Susan called me. I received documents from Jessica's attorney, pregnancy test results, and a letter from a Dr. Andrew Morrison confirming pregnancy at approximately 8 weeks. So she's really pregnant. The documents say she is. But Nathan, these are just scanned PDFs. Anyone can create a fake document. I'm going to call Dr. Morrison's office directly to verify. Is that allowed? With a signed release for Jessica, yes. Her attorney included one. Let me make some calls. An hour later, Susan called back. "Nathan, we have a problem." I called Dr. Morrison's office. They have no record of Jessica as a patient. No appointments, no pregnancy tests, nothing. So the documents are fake? That's what it looks like. But I went a step further. I called Dr. Morrison directly on his cell. He's actually a colleague of my husband's. He confirmed he's never treated Jessica and never signed any pregnancy letter. She forged medical documents? Yes. And that's fraud. Not just in the divorce, but potentially criminal fraud. What do I do? I'm going to confront her attorney with this. And Nathan, you might want to consider filing a police report. Forging a doctor's signature is a serious crime. The next morning, Susan sent a letter to Jessica's attorney, Paul Drake, outlining what we'd discovered. She attached a statement from Dr. Morrison denying ever treating Jessica. 2 hours later, my phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Nathan Foster. Yes. This is Dr. Andrew Morrison. I received a call from your attorney this morning about some forged documents bearing my name. Yes, doctor. My wife claimed to be pregnant and provided documents with your signature. I want to be very clear. I have never met your wife. I have never treated her. I never signed any pregnancy letter. Someone forged my signature and used my medical license number without authorization. I'm sorry you got dragged into this. Mr. Foster, I'm calling because I want to help. I'm filing a complaint with the medical board and the police about the fraudulent use of my credentials. This is identity theft and fraud. I thought you should know that there will be a criminal investigation. Thank you, doctor. I'm also going to call your wife's attorney directly. He needs to know he submitted fraudulent documents to the court. We hung up. 20 minutes later, Susan called. Paul Drake just called me. He's furious. He had no idea the documents were fake. Jessica apparently gave them to him and swore they were legitimate. He's withdrawing as her attorney. Can he do that? In cases of client fraud, yes. He's filing a motion to withdraw from the case. Jessica is going to need a new lawyer. And the pregnancy claim? We're filing a motion to have it stricken from the record and to sanction her for fraud. The judge is not going to be happy about this. That evening, Jessica called me from another new number. I answered. Nathan, please, we need to talk. About how you forged medical documents and committed fraud? I can explain. There's nothing to explain, Jessica. Dr. Morrison called me. He's filing a police report. You used his name and signature without permission. That's a crime. I was desperate. You were taking everything from me. I was divorcing you because you had an affair. You made this worse by lying and committing fraud. I am pregnant. I used the wrong doctor's name. But I really am pregnant. Then get real medical documentation from your actual doctor. Submit it through your new attorney when you find one. My attorney quit because you lied to him and made him submit fake documents to the court. That's your problem, not mine. The baby is yours, Nathan. We could do a paternity test. Please, just stop the divorce until the baby is born. No, if you're pregnant, we'll deal with custody and support after the baby is born. But the divorce continues. She started crying. I made a mistake. With Travis, with the documents, all of it. But I love you. I want our family. You destroyed our family when you started sleeping with Travis. The fake pregnancy documents just proved I was right to leave. I hung up and blocked the number. The next week, we had an emergency hearing in front of Judge Patricia Williams. She was known for being tough but fair. Jessica showed up without an attorney. She'd apparently been unable to find one willing to take her case after the fraud incident. Judge Williams looked at the file. Mrs. Foster, you submitted fraudulent medical documents to this court. Your Honor, I can explain. I was pregnant, but I was scared my husband wouldn't believe me, so you forged a doctor's signature and submitted false documents to a legal proceeding? I didn't mean to. That's not a yes or no question. Mrs. Foster, did you submit documents with a forged signature? Jessica's voice was small. Yes, Your Honor. I've reviewed the statement from Dr. Morrison. He's filed a criminal complaint against you for identity theft and fraud. Do you understand the severity of what you've done? Yes, Your Honor. Mrs. Foster, are you actually pregnant? Yes, Your Honor. I can get real documentation. From your actual doctor this time? Yes, Your Honor. Judge Williams made a note. You have 1 week to submit legitimate, verified medical documentation of pregnancy. If you fail to do so, or if the documentation is found to be fraudulent again, I will hold you in contempt and refer you for prosecution. Is that clear? Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Foster, the judge turned to me. Assuming your wife is pregnant, what is your position? Susan stood up. Your Honor, my client disputes paternity. He and Mrs. Foster have not been intimate for over 3 months. We would request a paternity test after the child is born. That's reasonable. Mrs. Foster, you'll need to consent to a paternity test. The baby is his. Jessica protested. Then the test will prove that. Divorce proceedings will continue. If Mrs. Foster can prove pregnancy with legitimate documentation, and if paternity is established after birth, we'll address custody and support at that time. but the divorce is not being delayed. Next case. We left the courtroom. Jessica tried to approach me in the hallway. Susan stepped between us. Don't, Susan said firmly. Any communication goes through attorneys. I don't have an attorney. That's not our problem. Get one. We walked away. That evening, I was having dinner with my brother Kyle when my phone rang. Unknown number again. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Nathan Foster? Yes. This is Dr. Sarah Kim from Women's Health Associates. I'm calling because a woman named Jessica Foster listed you as her emergency contact. My chest tightened. Is she okay? She's fine. She came in today, requesting documentation of pregnancy. I'm calling because I wanted to verify some information with you directly. Okay. Jessica told me she's about 10 weeks pregnant. However, her blood work and examination don't support that timeline. In fact, there's no evidence of current pregnancy at all. I was silent. Mr. Foster, I don't usually make calls like this, but when I informed Jessica that she wasn't pregnant, she became extremely agitated and insisted I write a letter saying she was. When I refused, she threatened to sue me. Then she mentioned that she'd already submitted pregnancy documents to a court using another doctor's name. She did. They were fake. That doctor filed a police report. I thought so. Mr. Foster, I'm calling to let you know that if anyone contacts me claiming to be from your attorney or the court, I will confirm that Jessica is not pregnant and has never been pregnant under my care. Thank you, doctor. I appreciate you calling. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. Good luck. I hung up and looked at Kyle. She's not pregnant. She went to a real doctor today, and the doctor confirmed she's not pregnant. She tried to get the doctor to lie for her, and the doctor refused. Kyle shook his head. She's desperate. She's delusional. This is fraud on top of fraud. I called Susan immediately and left a message about Dr. Kim's call. The next morning, Susan called back. I spoke with Dr. Kim. She's willing to provide a sworn statement that Jessica is not pregnant. Nathan, this is it. This proves she lied about everything. What happens now? We file a motion for sanctions. The judge is going to be furious. And the police investigation into the forged documents is going to result in charges. I just want this over with. It will be soon. A week later, Jessica submitted new documents to the court. A pregnancy test result and a letter from a Dr. James Patterson confirming pregnancy at 9 weeks. Susan called Dr. Patterson's office immediately. Nathan, Dr. Patterson, confirmed Jessica came in 3 days ago requesting a pregnancy test. The test was negative. He never wrote any letter confirming pregnancy. She forged documents again. Yes, she's desperate, and she's digging herself deeper. I'm calling her directly. An hour later, Susan called back. I spoke with Jessica, told her we know the Patterson documents are fake. She broke down, admitted she's not pregnant, admitted she forged both sets of documents. She's scared, Nathan. She knows she's facing criminal charges. What did you tell her? I told her to get an attorney immediately and to stop forging documents. I also told her that we're filing an emergency motion with the court. 2 days later, we were back in front of Judge Williams. Jessica appeared with a public defender, a young woman named Michelle Torres who looked exhausted. Judge Williams reviewed the new motion. Mrs. Foster, you submitted a second set of fraudulent documents to this court. Yes, Your Honor, Jessica whispered, after I explicitly warned you that I would hold you in contempt. Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Torres, does your client understand the severity of the situation? The public defender stood. Yes, Your Honor. Mrs. Foster deeply regrets her actions. She's prepared to admit that she is not pregnant and that both sets of documents were fraudulent. Judge Williams' expression was ice. Mrs. Foster, stand up. Jessica stood, shaking. You submitted fraudulent medical documents to this court. Twice. You forged the signatures of 2 different physicians. You lied under oath. You attempted to use a false pregnancy claim to delay legitimate divorce proceedings. Do you have anything to say for yourself? I'm sorry, Your Honor. I was desperate. I didn't want to lose my husband. So you committed multiple felonies? That was your solution. I wasn't thinking clearly. Clearly. Mrs. Foster, I am holding you in contempt of court. You are fined $5,000. I am also referring your case to the district attorney for prosecution on charges of fraud and identity theft. Additionally, I am granting Mr. Foster's motion for sanctions. You will pay his attorney fees related to this matter, which total approximately $15,000. Jessica's face went white. Your Honor, I don't have that kind of money. You should have thought of that before you decided to forge documents. Twice. Bailiff, take Mrs. Foster into custody until the fine is paid. Wait, what? Jessica's voice rose in panic. You're being held in contempt. You can post a $5,000 fine and be released, or you can serve 5 days in jail. Your choice. Jessica turned to her public defender. Can they do this? Yes, Michelle Torres said quietly. You committed fraud in front of the judge. Contempt is appropriate. The bailiff approached. Jessica started crying. Nathan, please. Help me. I don't have $5,000. I looked at her. The woman I've been married to for 8 years. Who I trusted. Who I tried to build a life with. You did this to yourself, I said. She was let out of the courtroom, still crying. Judge Williams looked at me. Mr. Foster, the divorce will be finalized today. Mrs. Foster will receive nothing beyond what she's legally entitled to as marital assets, which given the length of the marriage and her misconduct, is minimal. Do you agree to these terms? Yes, Your Honor. Then this divorce is granted. You're free to go, Mr. Foster. Susan and I left the courthouse. The sun was shining. It felt like the first nice day in months. Congratulations, Susan said. It's over. Thank you. For everything. That was one of the more dramatic cases I've handled. Forging documents once is bad enough. Doing it twice after being warned by a judge is just stupidity. She was desperate. Desperation doesn't excuse fraud. She's going to face criminal charges on top of the contempt finding. What happens now? You're divorced. Free and clear. She can't come after you for anything. And given the fraud and contempt, if she tries to appeal, no judge will touch it. I drove back to work. My assistant Kelly looked up when I walked in. How'd it go? It's done. Officially divorced. Congratulations. Yeah, congratulations. That evening, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Nathan Foster? Yes. This is Detective Maria Santos with the District Attorney's Office. I'm calling about the case involving Jessica Foster and the fraudulent medical documents. Okay, we're moving forward with charges. Identity theft, fraud, forgery. Your attorney provided us with statements from both Dr. Morrison and Dr. Patterson. We have strong evidence. What happens to Jessica? That depends on whether she pleads guilty or goes to trial. But given the evidence and the contempt finding, she's looking at probation at minimum, possibly jail time. I don't want to ruin her life. Mr. Foster, she forged documents twice. She used real doctors' names and signatures. This isn't about you anymore. This is about protecting the integrity of the medical and legal systems. We have to prosecute. Understand. You may be called to testify if this goes to trial. Are you willing to do that? Yes. Thank you. We'll be in touch. 3 weeks later, I heard through mutual friends that Jessica had been arrested and charged with 4 counts of forgery, 2 counts of identity theft, and 1 count of fraud. She pleaded guilty as part of a deal. 18 months probation, community service, a permanent criminal record, and she had to pay restitution to both doctors for the use of their names and credentials. She also had to pay my attorney fees as ordered by the judge, which she did in monthly installments. I never spoke to her again. 6 months after the divorce, I met Rebecca at a work conference. She was an architect, smart and grounded, with a no-nonsense attitude I appreciated. We had coffee, then dinner, then more dinners. On our 5th date, she asked about my divorce. What happened? I told her the truth. All of it. The affair, the fake pregnancy, the forged documents, the criminal charges. She listened without interrupting. That's intense, she finally said. It was. But it taught me something important. What? That I can trust my instincts. When something feels wrong, it usually is. And I won't ignore red flags anymore. That's healthy. What about you? Ever been married? Divorced 3 years ago. He cheated. Pretty standard story. I'm sorry. Don't be. I'm better off now. Sounds like you are too. I am. We took it slow. No rush. No pressure. She met my family after 3 months. I met hers after that. A year after my divorce was final, Rebecca and I moved in together. We bought a house in a neighborhood with good schools. For the future, she said, smiling. For the future, I agreed. 2 years after the divorce, I was at a hardware store when I saw Jessica. She was with a man I didn't recognize, looking at paint samples. She saw me at the same time. Her face went pale. I nodded at her, polite but distant, and kept walking. She didn't approach me, just watched me leave. In the parking lot, Rebecca was waiting in the car. "Who was that?" she asked when I got in. "My ex-wife." "How do you feel?" "Nothing. I feel nothing." "Good. That's healthy." We drove home to our house. Our life. Our future. That evening, Rebecca made dinner while I worked on fixing a leaky faucet in the bathroom. Normal, domestic, simple. This was happiness. Not the absence of problems, but the presence of honesty and trust. And it all started because I'd refused to be manipulated. Because I demanded proof when my ex claimed to be pregnant. Because I'd had an attorney who knew what questions to ask and doctors who were willing to tell the truth. Jessica's fake pregnancy had been her last desperate attempt to control me. Instead, it had freed me completely, and I'd never been more grateful for anything. Rebecca called from the kitchen. "Dinner's ready." I washed my hands and joined her at the table we'd picked out together. In the house we'd chosen together. With the life we were building together. Based on honesty. Based on trust. Based on the lesson I'd learned the hard way. When something seems too convenient, it usually is. When someone lies once, they'll lie again. And when you know the truth, you hold all the power. Jessica had tried to trap me with a fake pregnancy. Instead, she'd trapped herself with her own lies. And I'd walked away free.